Tasha K, and let me tell you about my love for these Ziegler clothes. They're not just clothes, they're a symbol of empowerment through style and creativity. Ziegler understands that when a woman feels confident in what she wears, she can conquer the world. Use my code Tasha for 30% off today. Monique.
Hello.
How you doing? Good. So we have Monique Bivens in the wine cellar.
I'm here, y'all.
I wish it was on better, circumstances. We're trying to make the mood a little bit more upbeat. Okay. These are your Mother's Day flowers. Yes. You get to take them. They're yours and your wine.
Thank you.
I got to start doing that for guests. I was like, all these guests come through and they pour their hearts out in this room and they leave with nothing. And I was just like, I have got to be a better host.
Oh, thank you.
But happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Anytime. So, unfortunately, like I said, I wish we were here on better circumstances. We just recorded a very intense episode of our series Scars with You. And I watched it for the first time and I was floored. And a lot of times when we do stories like this, I don't like to know, what it's about. I like to get the information as the viewers are getting it so I can kind of have some of those natural reactions that people that are watching the content will have. And so I did take a look at the Scars episode, which we're probably going to drop first. Okay. And then we'll drop your extended version, which is this podcast next. Okay. Just to kind of fill in the gaps of, what we kind of missed. And so ultimately you're here because your father who raised you sexually molested you.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's no longer with us.
No.
I'm going to say thank God.
Yep.
I know that at the end of the day, that's still your dad. But for me, I'm a believer in, listen, hell is waiting on you.
Yep.
Yeah. And so let's back up a little bit. So where are you originally from?
Riverside,
California.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I always like the California accent.
I didn't know I have one, but
you do. It's like I think out of everyone in the United States, Californians, you cannot ever tell where they're from because it's just so clean. It's not like DC or New York or Midwest. You don't have no country twang. It's just like
I wish I had a country twang though.
I do. You just had one right there. You was like, I wish I had a twang right there.
I got it.
So let me give you some wine before we get started.
And I'm a wino too.
Really?
Yes.
Well, welcome, wino. You know the winos, a lot of winos now.
Wino.
Let me see your glass. So we're going to be drinking on the Trevita. Okay, this is a Malbec, product of Argentina. So we don't have any steak to go with it today, but you can taste that up and let me know how you like it. It is chilled more than it's supposed to be, but it's slow. It lessens the blow. Okay. If you feel me. Right. Let me know what you think.
It's a little tangy.
It's tangy. I mean, this is Malbec, so
I like sweet, like wine coolers.
Give me that glass back, child. Look. You gonna drink? There ain't nobody drinking no wine cooler. She said, "Give me some Booze Farm, damn it."
Yes.
Tropical punch. Look, blue raspberry. Yes. It's okay. I'm gonna start. You know what? I'm gonna start doing that. I'll have some wine coolers and I'll put them in a cooler here, and just in case a guest don't like the wine, I could be like, "Well, you like this wine cooler here? We have all versions." So just slip slow because it hits you.
Hits. Okay.
Yeah, it hits. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. And to celebrate your freedom, because it's very freeing when you're able to, really, unload a lot that you've been holding in. And this is the first time you've ever spoke about what happened to you, ever. Your family doesn't know. When they see this Scar series as well as this podcast, what do you think their reactions are going to be?
Well,
because you and your sisters have been quite vocal on social media a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do not speak. For years, I've lied and kind of covered it up, protected my father. And so they don't know. My mother's side of the family, they know, but nobody really knows what happened. Like, they know, oh, she was molested, but nobody knows, like, the details. And I've always been known as, like, the weird one, the outcast, because this never happened to anybody else in the family. On my mom's side, or I don't really know too much about my father's side. He kept me sheltered a little bit, probably because of what was happening. Yeah. He kept me kind of,
Now, were you the only child that your father was raising?
Correct, yes.
So it was just you and him?
Just him and I. My two sisters, which I found out one of the sisters was not my, like, biological sister. That's not his daughter. Okay. He married her mother when she was little, and I guess she found out about 15 or 16 that was not her father. I did not find out until my father passed away that she was not my real sister. Okay. My other sister, yes. So that could explain a lot of the behaviors between her and I, like, why she took everything, because my father had her as, like, the oldest to take care of everything, but she kind of did it in a really mean, evil way. Like, even on the will that my father left, it was like, take care of Monique. She's going to need the most help. But see, he knew that because of what he had done to me. But they didn't really know that. They just thought, well, she's from another woman, so whatever, we're not going to really deal with her. But I know they heard about what happened to me, because Riverside is small, and the families, so somebody on my mom's side of the family was hanging out with one of my cousins on my dad's side and mentioned that after my father passed away, I was a little upset about, the insurance policies disappeared, no money. They said that he was sick, so they didn't pay out, which maybe that's the case. I did not see any paperwork, so I don't know. I was upset that.
So was it his wife, the one that was kind of overseeing the will and things like that? Oh.
It was the daughter that is not his real daughter.
Well, how did she get power of attorney over that?
She just did. She just did. My dad put her name was on the house. It was his name, her name on the house. She sold the house. The house was supposed to be left for the family. She got rid of it immediately. I drove up, I pulled her to the house. She had everything on a truck, sold everything, got rid of everything. I was, like, left out in the dark. So I had a conversation with someone on my mother's side. It might have even been my mom, but somebody went back and said, well, Monique said that, she should tell them that her dad really did molest her, and that she was upset that she didn't get anything, and that the sister that's not my real sister, my father, took out some credit cards in her name. And I said, she was going around saying that I took these credit cards when it was really my father. And I was there. So I saw the credit cards coming in the mail. And I even got a little jealous one time, because I went back after I got a little older, after I graduated out of high school. My dad said, come, you can come home, because I lived with an aunt. Yeah. And I really, honestly, I wasn't treated the way that I should have been treated. And I'm not going to talk bad. They took me in as an orphan, my aunts, but I was passed around a little bit. I ran away a lot because I didn't like the way that they treated me, kind of raised myself a little bit. So when my father said, you can come home, I was 17 now, the courts couldn't dictate what I did. Yes, I did go back because I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anything. My mom's side of the family, they didn't care about me. I don't care. Yeah. So I went back, and I remember the first day I went back, he had my room prepared for me and everything. I remember going to sleep, and I locked my door because I was scared that, this is me at 17. Like, that happened to me when I was a little girl, but there was still that, I'm gonna lock my door in case he comes in here. And if he does, I'm gonna beat his ass if he touches me, because I didn't know my father really, at that point. So I went back. My mom's side of the family, we had our issues because it's like, oh, why did she go back? But it's like, well, you guys don't really care about me.
Well, let's put this into perspective, because, your earliest memory of your father it goes back to when he touched you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, him taking me to the park or getting ice cream. No. And so at 4 years old, is that when it started?
It could have started earlier than that, but 4 is when I started to remember him. And it would always happen in his room, and sometimes in the dining room.
And you guys had no one living with you, just you and him?
No one living with us.
Okay.
He had a woman there before that, I guess, because I was looking at pictures and I kind of remember her. Her name was Dolores, and she left. And I remember I was sitting by the door, and she said, "I can't take it. Your dad hits on me. He drinks and hits on me, and I gotta go, baby." And she bent down and gave me a kiss. And I said, "Why?" And that's all I remember of her. And she left, and but that was, God, maybe early 4. Like, I was real little when she left. Even looking at pictures, I was about 3, 4 when she left. After that, my dad had a lot of women in and out, but no one stayed. It was always like, now that I'm older, I'm like, he was just like sleeping with these women. I would wake up in the middle of the night and go in my dad's room because I would be scared, like in the middle of the night, I would go in there. Or that could have been like just me being trained to go in there to get molested. That was just kind of like, I would always go in his room. And sometimes I would go in there and he would be butt naked, right? With the woman butt naked on the bed. And I remember seeing that and I went like that and I ran back to my room. But the door was wide open. Like, my dad was real careless. He didn't know that I saw a lot of stuff. Like, I saw like these women always in and out. He had a lot of women. He would drink. But my dad, I felt like he was a functioning alcoholic because he wasn't drunk, just sloppy drunk all the time. Like, he was like a normal person. But then there was those times when he would be drunk and there would be a woman there and calling 911 because he's on the verge of death and they have to go pump his stomach. So that's what I saw. But when the times where he molested me, it was just like, I don't know what I felt. I don't know. It's just like,
how long did the molestation take place? Like over a period of time? Was it from like 4 to 7?
7 is when I was removed out of the home.
Okay.
Yeah. So the time that he and I remember this like it was yesterday. He had porno. He turned the porno on, and nobody knows this. Like, nobody knows this. He turned the porno on. He's jacking off, and he's touching me down there until I climax. This is 4 years old. This was my life. And what my dad would do, and now I realize like what he was doing, he would buy me stuff so I wouldn't say anything. But I didn't really know. He would take me to my mom's house for visits, but he never left me. So the time that, now I'm like 7, right? We go to my mom's, my aunt's there, my cousins and stuff like that. And my cousin, she's like 3 years older than me. So I was 7 then. She was like about 3 years older than me. We're outside playing, and she goes in the house for something. And then she comes back, and she's like, "Your dad just rubbed up on my leg." And I'm like, and I remember like, I can feel it right now. I was like, no, don't say anything. He does that to me all the time. I will get in trouble if you say something. And she looked at me and she said, "No, I'm going to tell because your dad is not supposed to be doing that." And I remember.
Now, when she say rubbed up on her, like, what do you do? Feel her on her leg?
He felt up on her leg when she walked by him. He like felt up on her legs. And she said, "I'm going to tell my mom."
Oh, wow. She
ran in the house. She told. And I was like, I just remember feeling like, I guess at that age, it was like some type of anxiety. Like, shit, I'm about to get in trouble. I told. And I remember my aunt making a big ruckus and cussing, and my dad grabbing his gun off the table. He used to walk around with a pistol. Like, that was just what he did. And he grabbed his gun, and I remember him saying, "Come on, Monique, let's go." And he grabbed me, and we left. I'm going to say maybe a week or 2 after that, 2 police officers showed up at the house. And I heard them telling my father something like, "We need to take her." That's all I could remember. And I remember running in the restroom, and I locked that door, and I cried, and I cried, and I screamed. And I was like, I don't want to go. And they had to break the door down to get me. And they probably just had to do whatever to get in, but I locked the door because I wasn't going. And they told me, you have to go.
Did he ever penetrate you?
He never penetrated me.
Okay.
He just jacked off and
used your body as a
to climax, which is, when I even think about that, it makes me kind of nauseous to think that.
Like, how did you even know, like, 4 years old? I mean, I don't know, so I can't, like, imagine this, but I didn't even know 4-year-olds could climax.
Yeah. And I'm again, this is too much information, but I masturbated a lot after that. Like, I remember, like, I just couldn't.
Wow.
I couldn't control, like, I wanted, like, from molesting me so much, I knew how to make myself climax.
I was reading some articles, like, when I was watching your Scar episode, and I did see, like, you know, parents that were saying that their toddlers were touching themselves, and then doctors were saying, yes, like, toddlers masturbate, don't be alarmed about it. And I'm like, what?
Well, usually it's because they've been touched. Usually. Now, you do get the, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're discovering their bodies. But.
Because I'm like, even though I was molested at 5, I don't remember ever climaxing. I do remember, like, when my uncle would, he would lick me, like, down there, right? And it felt great. It felt good. Like, as a 5-year-old, you just know, oh, this feels good, you know? But you don't process what's going on, you know? It's sickening to think about it.
Yep.
For me to even say that, but, like, I don't think I ever masturbated until I was, like, 9. I had to be about, because I was living in Germany, I remember, until I was about 9. But thank God I never became hypersexual because of that.
Right.
You know, most people do.
Yep.
I do read about it, but for me, like, I didn't lose my virginity or anything until I was, like, 18, going on 19. And, you know, I had boyfriends here and there. We would do other stuff, but it was never. Yeah. I think for me, I don't know. It was so weird.
For me, I was kind of scared of men. Like, I was scared of them. My first boyfriend was, like, 16, 17.
Okay.
Right. But I was.
How old were you?
I was like 16 or 17.
Oh, okay. I was just like, wait a minute. Yeah. What you talking about, first boyfriend? Because my first boyfriend, I was in the 3rd grade. So I'm like, we were 17. What the fuck? Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah. And I've kind of lived my life like that, like, really kind of sheltered a little bit. And I think my problem is I'm looking for these men to fill this void of my father and like love me, right? Because I wasn't loved. My mother was gone, then my father was gone at 7, right? And then I'm passed around. Like, I just always wanted to be loved, even when I lived with my mother's side of the family. Like, I called my aunts probably like maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, right? Because I had this, like, hey, they saved me, but they saved me, but they didn't love me the way that I should have been loved, if that makes sense. Like, my aunt, she was a hard worker, right? But she was, I don't know if it was, we could say old school, but I didn't see her slap on her kids the way she slapped on me. But she tried, but I feel like she was a little overly, like, aggressive with me. And even, I just always felt like I kind of was like the one that was, like, lost. Oh, she's weird. She got molested. Right? So now that I'm older, I can hold my own. I know what I am. I know who I am. Now it's, we don't like her. Oh, we're jealous of her. Oh, she's this, she's that. Because they don't, but I took my pain. And this is me healed. This is me a healed person. Like, I had to live with this all my life. Like, it's embarrassing. I never really had a mom. My mom was on drugs. But and I don't even care that my mom was on drugs. You know what? The fact that my mom took me to my aunt and said, I'll be back in 2 weeks, and never came back, I wanted to be with my mom. My brothers and sisters, see, they had it hard too, because my mom was on crack.
How many of you guys were there? Like, actual siblings?
Let's put the wine down for a second, because at times like this, we need to take a shot. Oh, love the olive leaf extract because the olive leaf boosts our immune system and has been known to reverse high blood pressure, lupus, diabetes, and certain cancers. Check them out at myoliveleaf.biz to learn more and to order, or simply click the link below in the description box. Now back to the wine.
All right, so we got Carlos.
So it's go time.
Neil,
Feel like
I
what?
see you with the Freaknik merch on. You live, eat, and breathe everything Freaknik, huh?
Yeah.
Or is it
just? But you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I wanted to get some background on you, because
Sure.
I was trying to figure out like where do you fit in this Freaknik
This
thing,
Freaknik
but
thing.
you trademarked
Yeah.
the name.
Yes.
How did that come about?
I had every artist, including Luke, say, "I'm bringing back Freaknik. I'm bringing back Freaknik," and then I paid for a shade room post, and it went viral.
I remember that.
And it went viral, right?
You got a whole fucking documentary. You got the world pissed off at you. Like, you seeing aunties, nurses going live from a car. We're like, bitch, we don't know that's you. We didn't know it was you until you said something, because they're worried about their, I guess, their reputations and stuff, because they're saying, you partnering with Hulu to do this documentary, why do you want to do that?
Yeah. Well, the crazy part is,
Let me grab this tissue.
Okay, we all have different fathers. Okay, so on my mom's side, there's my oldest brother.
Okay.
I have a younger sister,
Okay.
or a brother, and then a younger sister.
Okay.
So there's 4 of us on that side. My younger sister and brother, they probably had it the hardest because they actually saw my mom, and I don't ever remember my mom really having a job or really.
They saw her like getting high or something?
Well, they saw her. Yeah, I don't know if they saw her getting high, but I know they saw her on drugs.
Okay.
And my oldest brother, and you know what? We gotta face the trauma, and we just have to deal with it. I love him to death, but he's been in and out of jail since he was 13 because my mother needed food or this. I mean, there was times he would come to my dad's house, and I would go my dad would be in there asleep, and I would go in the kitchen, and we would get grocery bags of food out the cabinet to take to my mom. I don't know. I feel like my mom, she had trauma that she didn't deal with. And then it kind of just trickled down to everybody. So my brother's in and out of jail for this and that. And I don't want to talk about his life, but we have to be honest here. We really do.
I mean, you guys were, it seems like just a cycle of just trauma, childhood trauma.
Yep.
So, you didn't have anyone protecting you guys.
We were not protected.
So
that's sad.
And I mean, it's sad that that's the story of a lot of us, adults trying to figure out how to be adults and, and don't know boundaries and can't control their, addiction is deep.
Yep.
Because a lot of times, like, I have alcoholics and stuff in my family. A lot of them have succumbed to it and stuff, and it's the things that they used to do, and it's like, was it really them or was it the spirit? And you think about it, like they call alcohol spirits because it brings about a spirit in you that normally probably wouldn't even exist at all. And I'm sure your dad was 2 different people when he was drunk and he wasn't drunk.
Well, he was 2 different people, period. Because when he was doing that, he was fully aware of what he was doing.
I bet he was. It was functioning.
Yeah, like when they took me, they gave me to my mother initially, right? When the police.
So your mother was off dope when they gave you to her.
She hadn't really. I think she was like partying and alcoholic. She hadn't started the drugs yet. She was partying and right. They gave me to my mother for a couple weeks. My mom was still letting me go on visits with my dad.
Oh wow!
At least 2 times. And one of the visits, my dad had a tape recorder because I guess they were getting ready to start going to court, and because my aunts had to step in because my mom was not gonna. She was letting me still go over there with my dad.
That is some real fucked up shit. Okay.
He got a tape recorder, a little silver one. I don't know if you remember back in the 80s, they had a little silver tape recorder, and he said, "I want you to say what I'm gonna tell you what to say." I said, "Okay." He said, "I want you to say." My dad never molested me. I love my dad, and just I just remember, right, and he had me in his room telling me to say these things, and he recorded me. People don't know these details.
What happened with the court case, though? Did he ever go to jail? Do you
Never
remember?
went to jail. My aunts, both of my aunts, like stepped up to the plate and like basically took over for my mom and made sure I didn't go back to my dad. You know, and I started like, I didn't want to be there. You know, I went from having my own room and because my dad, groom me, right?
Yeah.
I went from, and I mean, you know, whatever, but I went from that to sleeping on my aunt's couch in a living room.
So so after the case, did he continue to touch you or was he done?
He was done because they pulled me away.
Okay.
When I went back, when my mom let me go back for those 2 visits, I can't remember. I can only remember him recording me, and it was just those 2 visits. And then my mom dropped me off to my aunt because it was like, she can't be going over there. And then one of my aunts started that paperwork in the courts. And then I never saw my mom. It was like, I just lived with my aunt. My mom dropped me off in the car at my aunt's house and said, I'll come back in 2 weeks. And she never came back. And, you know, my aunt said, my job is to put you through school and then I'm done. And that's what she did. But there were some issues because I just didn't feel like anyone loved me there either. You
weren't getting any therapy from the state or?
No, she did a little bit of therapy when the court I think the court recommended like I go to like a child therapist. And I think I had a couple sessions and then that was it.
Okay.
And it was like, I was living with my aunt, her husband, and she had a younger son. He was like 3 years older than me.
Okay.
An older daughter and an older son. They were like in their 20s already. And then there's me sleeping on the living room couch, you know, and just not knowing them because I didn't know them.
Now, are your aunts, they're still here?
They're still here.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So they're ultimately going to be watching this.
Correct.
How do you think they're going to take it, though? What you're saying? Because, I mean, on one hand...
It's known how I felt. I mean, I refused... Okay, so I didn't tell you. I ran away, right? Around, like, 13, I found my dad. Because he dropped off. Like, once they said she's not coming back home, he just disappeared. So when I was in, like, 7th, 8th grade, I found a girl, and her aunt knows my dad. So she went home, got the phone number, gave it to me, called my dad, and I said... I hate it here. I can't be here. So I ran away for like 4 months and I lived between the 2 sisters, right? And they're thinking, because my dad's telling them my mom's crazy.
Okay.
I never touched her. Her mom's crazy, drug addict, crazy lady. That's the story. And I just went with it because I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be back over here. I wanted to be with my sisters. You know, when I was little, they would come around. I just wanted to just be like, normal. And so I never said anything, never said a word to them. I just kind of sat there knowing what I knew.
But how do you think your aunts are going to feel being that they were the ones that initiated the case against your dad, but to hear out of the same breath that you felt like they didn't love you enough?
They know that. They know how I feel. But I also called them not too long ago.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I want to apologize. You guys tried to save me, but they just didn't. And they saved me from my mom. They did it for my mother because that was their baby sister.
Okay.
I was just like, hey, get her out the house and just make sure she has food, clothes. Like, I was just that, you know. My aunt, I really just, I feel like I was just an extra. You know, she tried, but it wasn't, she just, hey, make sure she eats, make sure she has clothes, make sure she has the basics, you know? And it just...
I mean, because it's hard, you know, for people to, like me, I'm going to be honest with you, like, I love children, right? And, you know, sometimes I think about adopting every time, especially when I go to my husband's country and I see children on the side of the road and I'm like, especially... you know, young children at no fault of their own, and it makes me want to just help.
Yep.
Then you realize you can't save the world.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, but could I truly love them the way that they should be loved? Could I, just because I'm giving someone a house and, a roof over their head or clothes or food, that love that I have naturally for my children, I don't think I can extend that to another child.
Right. And
For me, it's always going to be in the back of my head, this is not my child. I'm just helping out for the moment. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's kind of like, you know, it's hard to bond somewhere where, and it's like, when you look at it as someone who wants to adopt, is it more important for me to make sure they have what they need in a safe space?
Right.
And I don't have that connectivity that I should with my own children. It's just, and you're a mom, so you know birthing your children is different. But if another child from the outside, and I've had kids who were runaways and things live in my home, and they are very traumatized. They come with the trauma. They come with the lies. They come with the manipulation, and I've had to put them out.
Yep.
You know, like, I'm sorry, I can't deal with this, because at the end of the day, it's like, you're not going to take what you would take from your children from somebody else's child.
Correct.
And then you feel like, as someone who's helping, like, why would you talk to me that way? You know, why would you lie to me? I'm the one that's helping you, but you have to understand too, like, as a caregiver, like, it's above you at this point. And I just feel like maybe your aunts just did the best that they knew how. Like, as long as we do this, she's safe.
That's it. Yeah.
But I don't think it's they intentionally, like.
No, my aunt, when I ran away, she called the police and she made my sisters and my dad bring me back, or they were going to go to jail. And I refused to go with her. I said, I'm not going back there. She hits on me. Like, she would slap the shit out of me. Like, just,
you didn't think you needed it though sometimes?
You know what? Now that I'm a parent, and I told her, you know what, maybe I didn't slap her a couple times, you know, but
it's just like sometimes, because I think back on that too, like, damn, my mom just slap the hell out of me, like, but then when you think about it, it's like, I needed that.
Yeah, I was like, was she just old school, or was it just me just being a brat or whatever? But in that moment, I did not feel love like her children. Like, I just did not feel.
Maybe she had her children trained. Because, you know, you do that when they small. Like, when you don't have to get to the point where they gotta. But when you got a teenager in your house talking shit, you know what I'm saying? I feed you, and your daddy ain't shit, your mama ain't shit. I think maybe, you know, in her defense, it's hard. 8-year-olds, that's when y'all are feeling yourself. You know, it's like when you're 7, you come to figure out, oh, I'm feeling myself. I kind of know who I am, and then you're going through that puberty stage. So, you know, for you, I'm gonna have some grace for it. It's Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day. I'm just saying, as an outside person, I always like to see the best, and I feel that, you know, like my aunt was the one that blew the lid off the can when I was molested. You know, like, she did not fucking play that shit, you know what I'm saying? And so, and for me, I just always had this, you know, even still to this day, I tell everybody, if she was alive, she would have had a house before I had a house. She would have had cars before I had cars, because, like, she was the only one, even though she didn't kiss on me or hug me, but she talked to me, you know? Like, she talked to me, she yelled a lot. So to talk, a lot of people were, you know, well, oh, she's yelling at me. But for her, that was her way of teaching me, trying to undo a lot of the shit that was instilled in me. And she was just like, this is not going to go on here.
I didn't get that. It was just a safe space, like you said. We're just protecting her. We're keeping her, because her mother, like my mom, just couldn't.
Girl, and your mama, all you know, would have had you out there doing shit for crack. Like,
possibly.
I believe your aunt and them knew some shit. They just ain't want you to tell you. They probably just didn't want to tell you. And then, too, that's their baby sister, so they know her. So they was just like, I don't give a shit what go on. Get that little girl from around there.
Yeah, and that's how Black families. That's just
kinda, so.
And I called and I apologized. I said, hey, you know what? I love you guys, and thank you guys for saving me. Like, I know we had our issues. I know we had our issues, but thank you for saving me, because we don't know. I feel like, after, like, the way that things were going, I mean, he was gonna probably start penetrating me pretty soon. I mean, we're watching pornos. I would never forget. It was a man and a woman, you know, whatever, on there, and she was giving him head on the video. Like, I will never forget these pornos. And like, it's like when you're that age, you're going, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that?
It's the reason why the sex industry is so powerful. Like, it's a very strong, it's one of the strongest emotions besides, you know, giving birth or love or drugs, you know. So, and it is a drug in itself. And so I could see why it so vividly stands out to you, you know. So, but as far as your father, you know, I know he's not here. Did you ever confront him?
I did. So when I went back, when I was, because I graduated when I was 17, so I was done, and then I went back. He was pretty much on his deathbed. I spent a couple years with him before he died. So I was able to see him in a different light, basically like dying. I was there when he took his last breath. You
didn't say thank God.
I just kind of was like, that's sad. Like, I was emotional because I took care of him, you know, while he was sick and stuff, and kind of put what he did kind of behind me, because I was like, well, he needs me, you know. He went blind. I mean, like, all kind of stuff happened. Amputated his foot. Like, it was, so I kind of like stepped up to the plate, like, I felt sorry for him. And I don't know, but that could be the trauma bond, though. That's not me just, that was the trauma bond. That was that bond. And I told him towards the end, I remember we were standing in the driveway, and I said, I want to talk to you. Because it was just like, I just could not walk around with him like nothing ever happened. I felt like it was time for me to confront him. I said, you know that you hurt me when I was smaller. And he looked at me and he says, no, I don't remember that. And instantly, to me, he was not going to take responsibility. And I said, you did. And he goes, well, I'm sorry. So that was it. You know, he didn't say nothing else. I didn't say anything else.
Girl, I would have been out there with a shovel, bitch. Don't even put him in a box.
And you know what?
Just roll his ass off the bed into the goddamn dirt.
And I think now why I'm so angry, it's like he stole my childhood. And I think because I'm a mother now, I really, really, like, my kids are protected. Like, if I can tell nobody else anything, protect your children. I'm talking about from men that you date, protect them. I wasn't protected. And he stole my childhood. You know, I was exposed to sexual behavior at 4. Like, that's not okay. He was a womanizer. He had all these women in and out sleeping with him. He beat on my mom, I found out. He had a gun to her, like, when I was pregnant one time. I heard that story. So he was a womanizer. He was an abuser. He was a narcissist. And these are the men that I date. And now I'm not mad at my mom anymore, because I was mad at my mom. Oh, for years. Like, my mom. Oh, she gave me away. She doesn't love me. She let me go with my aunts, and they don't care what's happening to me. And I was so mad at her for just almost until I was an adult. And then I started building a relationship with her when I got over it. And I kind of said, you know, my mom probably needs me, you know. And I remember even when she was pretty much on her deathbed, I said, I'm sorry. And she said, for what? I said, because I feel like I could have been a better daughter. And I feel like I was mad at you for the wrong things. Because I started to put it together that my mother was naive. She was manipulated by my father because I was going through it. And that's when it started to kind of click for me, when it started to happen to me. And then but I had to apologize. And she said, you didn't do anything wrong. You've always been a good daughter. Like, don't think that. And I told her I loved her, and she passed away like a couple of days after that. So I feel like I was able to get closure with my mom. I was able to let her know, like, I was sorry, and that it wasn't her fault. It was my father's fault, because he was the manipulator. He was the man. The story was how I was taken away. He said he went to the house, and I had a old bottle with milk in it, and I was a baby, and my mom was gone somewhere, and my brother was watching me, and he's probably about 7, 8 watching me, you know, and I'm an infant. And he said he took me because my mom she was partying and she wasn't taking care of me. But my mom says that my father manipulated her by saying, I'm taking Monique because I need her to get on housing. So they tell two different stories. And I kind of believe my mom, just from everything that my dad, he did it to me. He did it to my sister. Well, I still call her my sister because that's what I was raised to know. He took these credit cards and I saw him use them. Like, this is when I was living with him in that short period of time. I told you I would get him out the mailbox and I would take him in. I said, damn. And I kind of got upset. I kind of got a little jealous because I was like, why is he getting all these credit cards in her name? And he's like, well, I'm doing this because I'm helping her with her credit. And you're getting credit cards in your name, so you're already doing your own thing. Because I was already, you know, about to turn 18, working, going to school. Like, I was doing my thing, and I was kind of, you know. And he was, I guess, living on the credit cards is what he was doing. So once, like, right before he passed away.
So what would he do, float the balances or something?
Apparently, yeah. He didn't let me, like, I didn't know, like, what he was doing, but
right.
I saw him with all these credit cards in her name. And one day he said that to me. He's like, I do this to survive. Like, I'm using this money to live on. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I think I wanted something. I was like, well, you have the money. And he's like, this is not money. Like, I'm using this to survive on. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, to be honest with you, I really didn't care. Like, he was getting a check in my name. Or not in my name, but a check for, like, in-home care. I was doing that for him because I was there helping him when he was sick or whatever. So that money went towards whatever. I didn't even touch it. I signed it and I gave it to my dad. I was out kind of trying to figure out life and trying to live. So I really didn't know what my dad was like. I was barely home, you know? Yeah. My name is Monique. I'm from Riverside, California, and this is my scar. I lived with my aunt. You know, I was treated different. I was always like the outcast of the family. You know, everyone on my mother's side knew. They kind of treated me, you know, different. I was never treated the same. My mother dropped me off one day and said, I'll be back in 2 weeks to get you. And my mother never came back for me. She had more children, and I was passed around the family, which for me was very devastating. I never really had a childhood, and I just felt like nobody really cared about me. Nobody really loved me. And now that I'm older and I'm dealing with this trauma, I'm trying to heal, and it's like everyone's just like jealous or mad because I'm taking my pain and turning it into something positive, like, you know, being an entrepreneur, having my own business, doing things that I'm passionate about. And I'm ready to say, hey, you know what? If you guys don't want to talk to me, if you don't want to deal with me, we can do this until the casket closes. I'm done. Like, we don't ever have to speak again. But I think you guys deserve to know the truth. Daddy wasn't the man that you thought he was.
Let's put the wine down for a second, because at times like this, we need to take a shot of the olive leaf extract, because the olive leaf boosts our immune system and has been known to reverse high blood pressure, lupus, diabetes, and certain cancers. Check them out at myoliveleaf.biz to learn more and to order, or simply click the link below in the description box. Now back to the wine.
And my dad got sick. He went to the hospital, and like the sister, because she's older obviously than my real sister, she would go in and she would be the one to sign all the papers or whatever. She took his wallet and she saw that he had all these credit cards in her name because she didn't know, apparently. She went and she started using them. So when my father was out the hospital, he said, Monique, did you take those credit cards? I said, what are you talking about? He's like, someone's using them. I said, well, it's not me. And he goes, well, call and report them stolen because I have the woman voice and he's not her. So I called for him to report them stolen. That's really the only part I had. And then one time he needed me to sign when he was at the store because they were like, oh, well, you're on the card, but we need her here too. And he's like, well, come down here and sign. I'm like, okay. It was at a Lowe's, like he was buying wood to rebuild his patio. Apparently she didn't know. So once we reported the card stolen, she called my father like immediately. She was at Walmart using them. Mm-hmm. Okay. My dad, they had a conversation. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could hear what my dad was saying. And he was like telling her, well, I use them. And if you don't like it, file bankruptcy or whatever they were saying. They got into pretty heated, I was kind of ear hustling trying to hear, but literally right before he passed away, I want to say maybe a month, they had another phone call. I was in my room and I was kind of like listening, and he was telling her, well, I don't know, do what you want to do, with the credit cards. And then he slammed the phone down. So after he passed away, she was pissed off that she had all this debt, all these credit cards. Now, I don't know why she went around, really she assassinated me. She went around saying that I took her credit cards and used them and said, I'm never talking to you again. And I asked my other sister, I'm like, what is she talking about? And she's like, well, she doesn't want to talk to you. So they ganged up and now they don't talk to me because, she really? Yeah. And the way I found out is because she told a cousin on my dad's side, oh, well, Monique used my credit cards and she ruined my life. What? I'm like, what is she? So she would never get on the phone with me. She won't pick up the phone. So 7 years go by maybe, and I'm still pissed off. I'm like, you know what? She really needs to know the real story about like these credit cards, because you got people in the family talking and thinking that I'm like this freaking thief. Yeah. And then so I look her up on People Search. I write her this letter. She's like, won't talk to me. I look at my other sister because they don't deal with me. Yeah. And I call and she picks up and she's like real shitty, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool. No problem. So in the letter, I'm telling her, if you're going to say that I use these credit cards, you need to really find out the real truth, because there's cameras. You can see who's using the credit cards. Mm-hmm. It's not hard work to figure out who was using the credit cards. And if you were really concerned about the credit cards, why did you take them? And why were you using them once you found out that daddy had them in your name? And she was also, I started working at this job. And the girl, I was telling her about it because it had just happened. Mm-hmm. And she goes, this sounds like a story one of my girlfriends was telling me about her friend. And she goes, I'm going to find out what that girl's name is. She came to work the next day. She was like, you're the girl. She's saying that you ruined her life, that you took her credit cards, that used these credit cards.
You don't ruin people's life with credit cards.
Well, my dad had a lot in her name.
Yeah, but I mean, you can bankrupt them and get another credit card and start over. So, I mean, I just think that for whatever reason, and your father is at the center of this, yep. And it's stupid. It's just worthless. Like, listen, they aren't your blood sisters, right?
One.
Mm-hmm. But the one that accused you
is not.
Fuck her. Like, that, just, you didn't do it. Fuck her. Okay? If you know, like, that's the thing. It's like, don't argue. You can't argue with a lie.
Right.
Because you don't know where it originated from. What's going to be the next turn of the lie.
And she won't talk to me. And I'm like.
Right. So, like, it's kind of like, listen, the credit cards do not ruin your life. You can bankrupt the credit cards. People do it every day. I was just talking to this mortgage broker, and he was like, yeah, when I retire, I got all these credit cards, and when I retire, I'm going to max them all out, buy my house, all types of shit, and bankrupt them, and live in my house fucking paid for. And I'm like, like, people do it all the time. Like, so it's not like it's the end of the world. I just feel weird. That your dad he was just not a good human being.
Correct.
And he caused a lot of problems between y'all. And unfortunately, when people die is when that anger lingers. Because you don't have him here to clear it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like y'all just left a mess.
A mess.
And I wouldn't even let that bother you no more. You know you didn't do it. There's no police report on file. There's no, you didn't go to jail for it. You know what I'm saying? You can easily look at who's signing them.
That's why I told
things
her.
like that. Like, so it's kind of so petty. If that's her reasoning, let that be that. And y'all don't have to deal with each other no more. Y'all were only related by marriage anyway.
Correct.
You know,
not even marriage, because my father divorced her mom. So we were just.
Right. So
there was nothing.
And I think it's her way of justifying, for whatever reason, according to you, her selling the house and doing all of that to keep you from getting money. So it's kind of her way of saying, well, you use my credit card, so I'm keeping the profits from the house. So you have to understand, people have their way of justifying. And when you have a lie that you've told so many years, you will start to believe it your damn self.
No, I
tell people all the time,
I'm like, girl, I didn't touch them credit cards.
You can't argue with a lie.
I'm done. But
so you can't. I tell people all the time, like, people want me to address certain things. I cannot argue with a lie because I don't know where the lie came from.
Right.
And for me to try to justify it, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going to be the next turn of events.
Right.
And it always ends up being something more extravagant, and I can't argue with that either. So it's just best that I just shut the fuck up and just let y'all think what y'all want to think.
And that's how I feel today. And I'm so glad I'm able to, like, put this past me. And really what triggered me and what made me, like, because I was good. I was, like, okay with just ignoring everything and just being in my own world and saying, okay, because when I was with one of the guys, he almost killed me. And I reached out to him. I'm like, I need help, you guys. I'm homeless because I had left my ex-husband, and I was at the bottom. And they said, we can't help you. Don't call us. I said, all right, no problem. Yeah. So, and if they see this, because they probably will, I'm good. We don't ever have to talk again. This is it until the casket closes.
What is your life like now?
Beautiful, single, working, taking care. You know what? I'm here to take care of my kids. At first, I was really like, oh my God, I want to be married. Oh, I'm single. Oh my, no, because I didn't love myself. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel worthy, right? Now I'm healing. I love myself, and I'm okay. If it's not right, I don't want it. I'm scared. No toxic. I can't deal with it. I told my son, I'm like, hey, if I die like a cat lady or a dog lady, like, I'm good with that. Yeah. I think I'm just supposed to be a mom right now.
That's your only job.
That's it.
You don't have nothing else to do. Like, if there's anything else in the world, okay, raise some kids and die.
That's it.
That's all that you have to do.
That's
okay?
it.
Everything else, be as it may. So, but I really do appreciate you coming out here to just kind of get it off, because I do know what happens when the families, when people die, and they just really fucked up people living, but then they even more fucked up when they die, and that shit leaves on, and then, everybody's mad and holding grudges and stuff like that. But one thing I do want to tell you before you leave here, I want you to really, 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 really give a lot of grace to your aunts.
Okay.
Even though my aunt was the one that blew the lid off the can when my uncle was molesting me, she didn't know how to hug me or love me the way that a mom should. And I felt like, listening to your story, that you wanted them to be what your mom wasn't.
Right.
And they can't be that. It's not that it's not in them, but it's hard to do that. Yeah. Like, even though my aunt was there for me through a lot of stuff, she could never replace the love that you yield from your mother.
Yeah.
No one can. It's like you have a grace for your mom. Your mom, in your eyes, your mom could do no wrong. That's why you kept going back to your dad, because in your eyes, your dad can do no wrong. That's why it took you so long to come and share this story, Yeah. And I say, these are the closest people that you have to your parents that did the best that they could to be the best mother figure that they could to you, to ensure that no one was able to hurt you like that again. I gotta tell you, like, if I'm picking sides, I'm on their side, because you wouldn't even be here to tell this story if it wasn't for them.
Right.
And that should be what you hold on to, not them slapping the shit out you. I got the shit slapped out of me too. Like, man, I'm used to tell everybody, like, I hate my auntie, because she'll be like, she was just on my ass. Like, I'm like, why is she on my ass? Like, I remember I would go to work and I would come home from work, and she would time how long it took me to get from work to the house. And if I was 1 minute late, she always stood by the door, so I would have to come in and walk past her to make sure I wasn't doing no drugs, I wasn't high, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't out fucking. And because she did that, I never came through that door high, fucking, on some other shit. Never let her dude penetrate me until I moved out of her house, because I was like, she gonna smell it on me.
Yep.
Like that's how she was. And it was kind of like, when you live in it, you can't be like, what the fuck, I wish I was with my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then when you think about it, like, it's kind of like, well, that's what I needed at the time.
Yeah. Or like, I started rapping, right? That was my thing.
Oh, God.
Okay? I thought I wasn't wanting to be a rapper, Tasha. So I met Sugar Free because one of my friends, her sister's husband worked at this radio station.
Okay.
So they hooked us up. And he came to my house. Well, we talked on the phone for like 3 months. Dewan. Okay, I'm not going to call him Sugar Free. Okay. He came to my house, and I thought that this was going to be my way on in the rap game. He invited me to a party. He was like, I'll send the limousine to come get you. Snoop Dogg was going to be there. DJ Quick, because that's when they were hanging pretty tight.
I remember those guys, yeah.
And my aunt said, if you leave, don't come back.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a real, look, I don't want to call y'all no bitch, but she know what the language mean. That's a real bitch right there, because she knew what they was going to do when you got there.
I didn't go.
You weren't supposed to go, because you weren't going to be a rapper. How old were you at the time?
Like 16.
You weren't going to be a rapper.
15, 16.
You weren't going to rap nothing but your mouth around their dicks.
Yep, she said, you leave, don't come back.
And I like that approach. You needed that, Monique.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep.
Ain't nothing worse than a girl that's been traumatized her whole life and is on a mission to prove everybody wrong. Ain't no telling what would have happened to you had you would have got in that limousine. Who's sending a limousine for a child?
Yeah.
Sugar Free.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
now that, and see, I didn't know back then his lifestyle, because he had just really came out. He had put that first album out. I didn't know he was in the pimping game and all. I didn't know that. He invited me another time to a video shoot, and so I was being sneaky.
You sent her some flowers. That's your mama right there.
I will send her some flowers.
That's your mama.
And let me
What's
tell
her
you,
name?
she gonna kill me.
It's fine.
Claire.
Miss Claire.
Miss Claire.
That's your mama.
She didn't play no game.
I need you to go meditate when you get out of here on everything Miss Clara saved you from, including your damn self. That's love. See, we're so used to people, because I remember my mama would beat the shit out of me for no reason. Sometimes, yeah, I needed it. But then sometimes it was kind of overkill. Like,
right.
It was overkill to the point where it was just like, you were beating me, but I didn't do what you're saying that I did. Like, a lot of times it had to do with abuse of things, and and for her, like, I hated her a long time for that. I don't hate my mom anymore, but I hated her a long time for that, because I felt like it was all she knew how to do.
Is slap the hell out of you.
It wasn't slap. It was tying me up, beating the shit out of me for hours. Like, can't move, can't run, can't.
Really?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so my aunt never did that. My aunt was just, her mouth is like mine. So that's ultimately where I get my mouth from. Like, oh, you think you finna take your little pissy tail ass outside and around these niggas? You got me fucked up. Like, that's how my auntie would talk to me. Like, Bitch, come here. You smell pregnant.
Yep.
I'm like, why she calling me a bitch? What the fuck?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But you ain't no bitch. Don't worry. And her words were, you ain't no bitch. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Just get your ass over here. Let me smell you. Let me see. Keep your ass from around them niggas. Yep. Them niggas don't mean you nothing. Like, this is how she would talk to me. I'll never forget, she taught me how I asked her, and I guarantee if you call Miss Claire and you ask her, because she's been saving you from yourself before you even realized it. Right? From your mama, from turning out like your mama, from being a victim of to men, like, a men, like, from your dad and, that are like your dad and things like that. Like, and it's all she knew how to do, especially living in California where it's the most expensive state. And she got her own children to raise. And then she got this child that's just been thrown every fucking where. All she can do is just be stern with you.
Right.
And it doesn't come across as love, but love is an action. Right. Love is not, oh, I love you, you're beautiful. Because my auntie would tell me, I used to get so mad at her, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty. And she's like, you cute. And I'm like, what kind of shit is this? Who says that? Because, my mama would say, oh, you're so pretty. But she it's not that she didn't think I was beautiful. It's not that she was hitting my self-esteem. She wanted me to understand that there's more to you than just you being beautiful. And I didn't get that at the point. I just only thought, she calling me ugly. She not saying I'm this and that. Like, because that wasn't her concern. She would literally bring me, I'd be like, yeah, dude said I was pretty. She'd be like, you cute. Yeah, and then when I think about it, I'm like, I'm glad she did that because it didn't force me to focus on my looks.
Right. Yeah.
It forced me to put my energy into who I was.
Right.
Because had she would have been filling my head up that I'm cute, I'm pretty, I'm this, I'm that, I wouldn't have focused on nothing else. Mm-hmm. And my legs would have been wide open had somebody would have called me beautiful.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But a lot of women don't see that. They'll be like, well, why she just didn't say you was beautiful? I was. But she didn't want me to think, because there's that beauty
sure
shame.
Does.
What's going to happen when you're 50, 60 years old? You ain't beautiful no more. You beautiful from the inside.
From the inside.
Based on what you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I guarantee if you call Miss Claire and you ask her, how do I know if a man loves me? She going to tell you. That's the woman you need to hear that from. She gonna tell you what to look for or how to even recognize it without looking for it, and she will save you from decades long of abuse. But you gotta bring her closer to you. And it's Mother's Day.
I don't think they want it.
Miss Clara love you. Ain't no motherfucking doubt about it. She probably can't stand you because you entitled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I guarantee if you go to her and just be like, I fucked up. Like, I did not see that. She probably resents you because she's like, I've been trying to save her, but yeah, all I get is this and that.
And well, that's why I called and apologized. I said,
but
hey,
was it a?
No, it really, no. I really felt like these women saved me. Her and my other aunt, because when I was like, I don't want to live with her, I had to go live with the other aunt. Like, they passed me around because it was like, she can't go back to her dad.
Well, start by just doing little gestures, like being there for, taking a bill off her hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, what's your light bill? I got it every month. You know what I'm saying? She been working her whole life. Like, do that for her, and I guarantee you, like, you will see. Y'all will start to build, because it's always been there. Right. She's always had a soft spot for you. She's always felt protective of you. But sometimes, like when you do get children from traumatic households, sometimes it's not worth that stress. And she probably just feels like, I've stressed too long.
I've washed my hands with her. Yeah.
Right. But now you don't need her for that no more.
Right.
So I'm on Miss Clara's side, because you ain't told me nothing that Miss Clara did.
Well, I mean, so here's my thing. You go from, being molested, right? Because I had to just put things in perspective. Like, okay, you go from being molested, right, to being slapped upside your head, slapped, and you like, damn, well, I don't want to be hit on. I don't like being hit on like that. So that was my issue. I felt like I didn't want to be hit on like that. Like,
man, listen, she had to beat your ass. Like, for real. Like, some people just need to realize I was one of the ones I needed my ass whooped.
I probably, now I see it, I'm like, you know what, I probably did need to get slapped a couple times. Like, now I'm kind of like,
And that slap. You still here.
Still here.
Your face still beautiful. Everything about you.
But one time she slapped me and I like.
You got
started,
dizzy?
Like, dizzy. Like she
Girl,
hit me
listen,
hard.
listen,
and I'm like,
listen. My daughter could probably tell you a couple stories. God, bow. What was that again?
I think I had ditched school.
Yeah. And it's funny how, like, you know, now it's illegal to hit children and shit. Mm-hmm. But it's like we got hitting from white folks. White folks start beating motherfucking niggas like before anybody even, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden, because they beat people so bad, they don't understand that people can beat people within boundaries to keep them from doing shit.
Yep.
And now it's like, you see what the fuck y'all did? Y'all done fucked up the system because you motherfuckers went from whipping people to hanging people and shit. And now you don't trust us to beat our children because you done fucked up our culture so goddamn bad.
Yep.
So now we trying to keep our children from out of your goddamn jails.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
But can't touch them.
But can't fucking touch them. Hell, if I can't, I told, listen, this my goddamn child, okay? What I feel I need to do with my motherfucking child is what I'm gonna do with my motherfucking child to save her from herself. My child lives a great life, but sometimes you gotta slap them. Just one time. One time. It ain't even like you walking in there like, yeah, I just feel like beating ass today. Sometimes when you hit them slaps hit you probably talking shit to your auntie, bow.
Oh, but
because you just can't.
You know what? I really didn't I was more scared of her. And
You should have been.
I was. Like one time she tried to make me eat chitlins. I sat at the table for like 6 hours because I was like, I can't do it.
Oh yeah,
she's like, you're not getting up until you eat them chitlins.
Man,
I'm like,
listen, my grandmama right now, bless her, she's still living, man. She used to do that with macaroni and cheese. So what I did was I put the macaroni and cheese in my mouth and excused myself to the bathroom twice. So I would calculate the macaroni and cheese. It would be that much because she never gave that much now, and I would split it into two, and then I would put it and chew it, not swallow it. Let it sit inside of my mouth, went to the bathroom, spit it out.
see, no,
Then the other side, I did the other side, went to the bathroom. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Because if I didn't eat that macaroni and cheese, my head was in the plate.
See?
Because that's disrespectful to them. Like,
I know.
Cook for you.
And like I said, she was a sweet, like now as an adult, I thank her. Like I really, really do. Like, thank you for doing what you did.
You thank her.
But I still feel like it was borderline. You know, she was a little, and I just don't feel like I was loved. Like, that's all I wanted.
Well, that wasn't her job to love you.
See? And that's what I wanted.
That wasn't her job.
That wasn't her job.
She could not replace what your mother should have been giving you.
True.
All she could do was be a good aunt and a good sister for her sister.
Right.
To ensure that you were okay.
Safe, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no, and you know that. I can't tell you right now if a child came in, like your sister's child and came in, you would love that child the same way you would love your kids. It's impossible. And if anybody tells you that, they're lying.
Right.
Like, you can't, like, it's different.
Right.
Like, of course, I'll take a bullet for any child.
Right.
I will do that because I feel like you got more to gain than I do out of my life. So if it was between me and a child, even somebody else's child, I'm risking my life for that child. I don't care if that child white, black, Chinese. I don't care. That's a child.
That's a child.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But when it comes to that love and that bonding, sometimes you can't be kissing on other people's kids like that. They're gonna be like, because I kiss my daughter in the mouth. Mm-hmm. She can't kiss you in the mouth.
Right. You can't do that.
So you like, well, why she kiss her in the mouth? She don't kiss me in the mouth. You can't. It's just certain boundaries you have with your children. You know what I'm saying? Like, or with other people's kids. So, you know, it's Mother's Day. Like I said, I'm on Miss Clara's side, and I'm proud of you for even coming up here to sit down and unwind. And the focus is your daddy. I don't even really think it has anything to do with your sister at this point. I think that's just an excuse that your sister gives you in order to justify, you know, because her part in it.
Right.
Okay. And that makes her feel good, kind of telling herself that you did this.
Right.
And that justify her actions of you taking away things that were entitled to you. And so I'm glad we had a chance to sit down. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
You know, just to anyone going through this or maybe going through an abusive relationship, just love you. You got to love on you and never let anyone like tell you you're different than or like tell you you're something else or you're nothing, or you always have to like find it within you, because then that's when you let the abuse in, when you start letting people manipulate you and tell you you're not good enough or you're not this, you're not that. For a long time, I thought I was ugly. Like, seriously, like, I'm ugly, I am, right?
Yeah.
And then I started to just, like, love me. Like, love your big forehead. Love your you know, your big whatever, right? I started to love me and, like, truly love me. So love you and don't let anyone tell you different. And I love this saying, when someone shows you who they are, that is truly who they are.
And I want to say this about the loving you, because there's no love if you don't have anyone to share it with. And that love of you loving yourself should penetrate those around you in a graceful manner, you know? And so, and that's true. That's where really loving yourself starts, because they'll be able to feel that love, you know, just like that love that you have for your children. Like, I saw how you interact with them. Those boys are absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing a really, really good job with them. And I could tell that they're very, very close to you, you know. And while you still have your family here, you know, share that love with them. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, but, like, I guarantee you, take one of Miss Claire Bill's, you know, just, you never know, because, you know, she older now.
Yeah.
You know, you about to cry.
Yeah.
You know, and I guarantee you, here's a tissue. You know, start by, that's your mom, and she's been here the whole time. Okay? Just let Miss Claire start to feel that love, everything that she tried to put into you.
Yeah.
Because your mom is still here, and your mom lives through her sister. That's her sister.
Right.
That's who your mom would have been had she would have not and got hooked on drugs and things like that. So just hold on to that, you know?
Yeah.
Okay? You're going to be okay, Monique. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.